Hi, everybody. Welcome to my first episode of the Stressed Out Show. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things during the series from a stressed out point of view, I suppose, if you're trying to start or run your own business. Now, starting a business when everyone online makes it look easy is, to all of us, its own kind of torture. You are trying to figure out what you're doing, and everywhere you look, someone's posting about their 5-figure launch or their sold out program or how they scaled to 6 figures in 6 months. And you're sat there thinking, am I just really bad at this? Or is everyone lying? So today I'm talking to Beckie from Cloudless Sky Coaching, who nearly packed the whole thing in because the noise got so loud she couldn't hear herself anymore. She's a coach, an LLP practitioner, hypnotherapist, all of it. But she also calls herself an imperfect mom of 3. And that's the version of her you're going to meet today. So, Beckie, before we get into that, and thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Tell me, what were you actually doing before coaching was even a thing for you? What made you first pay attention to coaching, like really pay attention? And what surprised you most about yourself when you started?
Oh, so way back. So I was a mum. I was at home being a mum, and my husband suggested, I'm going to be really honest, he suggested I should do this course. And I said, no, thank you very much. I'll find my own course. So he'd got something through work. I did eventually go and do this course, and it was really helpful. Don't get me wrong. But in between that, I found coaching. So I went to a taster day, and this was in the days when I had to drive to near London on my own, somewhere I'd never been, for this day. And I really enjoyed it. And then it turned out I was quite good at it. That's really where it started.
So when did it start to feel like too much? In the beginning, sort of those early days, what was it like sort of on a day-to-day, what was going
So
on?
it was different back then, because everything was saying you needed to be in person. We have quite an open plan house. I had little ones at home. But there's no way I can invite somebody into my house. That's just mad. You could do it on the phone, so that was an option. The other option was that you hired somewhere like a consulting room, but it didn't make it easy. So I kind of left it and I did it informally. That's how my story went for a long time until, well, it was after COVID. I thought, right, I've either got to give this a really good go or I've got to shelve it and get on with the rest of my life and do something completely different.
So you won a coaching membership in 2020, which sounds like a good thing, but it didn't quite land that way, did it?
No, that one was fine. That was good. The coach who did it eventually closed the group, which was a shame, but I got a lot out of it. And that was the first time I'd experienced the kind of online way of doing it. But I suppose it was 2020. So
COVID. Great time. Hey.
Hey.
Everything was online, I think.
Yes. And I think if you were running a Facebook group then, we had nothing else to do. So there was lots of engagement, which we don't get so much now. But I did do other things, which I think you're touching on, which weren't so helpful.
Because there's so much out there, isn't there? People click a button and they see something and they think, oh, that might help. And then it's absolutely hopeless. Yeah. And also sometimes it costs you money and you're like, and I got nothing from it.
Yeah. And sometimes you're really pressurized, like the double glazing salesman. You've got to have it now because otherwise in the next 5 minutes
it's going to run out in 25 seconds if you don't press that button now.
So, and I think I have been involved in some of those, and I've thought it was a good thing. And I'm not saying I didn't learn anything, but the amount of money I put in for what I learned probably isn't very balanced, shall we say.
I mean, that can happen to any one of us as well. And that in the offer that was going to run out in 25 seconds, if you log back in the next day, guess what? It's there again. And it's really hard. I don't know. In your situation, I suppose back then, how would you, trust that if you did, I think you did find somebody that was
I
good.
Did.
Yeah.
I did. And so we had a really sort of frank conversation, and there was no pressure from her. I think that was the difference. She laid out what she could help me do. She talked me through her membership and what she did, but there was never any pressure. You know, she was very much, go away and think about it. I'm here. Come back to me when you're ready. Completely different approach, much more genuine, much more honest, and just resonated with me, I guess, because there wasn't that pressure. And you kind of know, don't you? You get to learn. We make the mistakes and we learn from them. So we know that when we're put under pressure, that actually maybe we need to go and think about it again. Because if it's something that is you're being put under pressure to buy into, why? If it's that good, you're going to get people anyway. So why put the pressure on them?
Yeah, and as I said, that's a difficult one for us to, I think, for many people. I mean, I've been there. It's like you just don't know which way to turn. You know, I mentioned in the beginning, we also listen to so many people, don't we, and their opinions. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how we can help people through this and say you need to listen to yourself.
Yeah, I think our world is so fast. I think that's part of it. And, you know, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to say, I am not making that decision today. So if we go back to the double glazing salesman, the last time we had double glazing, which was a while ago now, but I said to, it was a woman who came actually, and I said, look, I don't mind. You might have to phone your boss. This offer might not be here tomorrow, but I am not deciding now. I said, you know, this is a decision. It's a lot of money. We are going to take overnight to think about it. And I think that's okay. And
that was harder back before the online days as well, when you actually had somebody on your doorstep who sort of got their foot in the door, or somehow they talked you into making an appointment, double glazing, having your kitchen done, all of those things. And they're saying, and if you take this today, we can give you 10% off. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, no, it's true. And I think on an online situation, I mean, I don't know about you, but in my own feeds, you know, be it on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, you know, the ads that pop up now for me because of what I've been doing is, let me help you do this. And I get a lot of coaching pop up, funnily enough. It's like, really? Well, why are you better than the next person, kind of?
Yeah. So some of them there's an option sometimes to say, do you want to see this on your Facebook feed? So you can slow them down. I guess it keeps the platform free. That's why the sponsorship's there.
Have you ever joined an online free event? Okay, so joined an online free event, like a Zoom thing, and it says, if you come on this, I'm going to teach you all the world's secrets about how to make loads and loads of money in your chosen profession, and this is how you do it. So you join and you might sit through something. I think I did it once for like an hour and a half, or was it a 2-hour session? I actually had my knitting down here because I thought this is just long. And at the end of it, to really find out more, you then had to pay about £2,000. And I'm like, well, how has that helped me today? You know, it's like, and I think this is what a lot of people who are trying to start their own business, or trying to, I don't know, find some help and advice and something, and that's what they end up with. And to me, that's the most sort of disheartening thing of all, because you've vested that time and you still got nothing unless you want to spend lots of money.
Yeah. I think that's a way lots of people do things. And I think you can go along and you know that there's going to be that at the end. So you think, right, with the mindset of, I'll get out what I can, but I know there'll be this offer. It will sound fantastic. But, you know, like I used to do sometimes at the PTA meetings, sit on your hands. You can't volunteer, you can't press anything, because you can come back to these things.
Absolutely, yeah. But you don't know that before you join it. That's the trouble. It's the way you're sold. It's like, you've got this one-time opportunity and you join it, and there's a big tick down time thing, and you're going to go live soon, and you're like, oh, can't wait. And then it's like, what?
Yeah. So I would suggest go to them, watch them, get what you can. If you think it's going to be helpful, come back to it later. These people, I know they only sometimes do them once or twice a year, the big coaches, the big influencers, but you know, they'll do them again.
But once you're on their mailing list, they'll soon start reaching out to you until you switch them off.
The
Yeah.
other thing I think is really important is to get other business owners around you. So the people that you trust, the people you can bounce ideas off, the people you can just talk through some of these things with you. Because often somebody might say, give you that advice just in a conversation like this, and you haven't paid
That's the
anything for
point of,
that.
I think, a lot of what I want to do with these conversations is something in here resonates with somebody. I mean, I think you said someone believed in you before you believed in yourself. Uh, how did that come about? What happened with that?
So it was just, I think, they just said you're not believing in what you can do and the changes you're making for people. And I suppose maybe I didn't get testimonials back then. I'm trying to think, and because it was all so informal, that you've got to start listening to what people are saying. We can be so hard on ourselves, and our inner chat can be so self-critical, and actually we miss it. We're so beating ourselves up because we made that tiny mistake, we said that wrong thing, whereas actually the
Yeah.
person we've worked with hasn't noticed that at all, and they've made some great change or move forward, and we're too busy berating ourselves. So we need to be careful of that.
Okay. So when you did start to realize, so because obviously online again, we were talking about the sort of when everybody is making all this money and they're doing all this, and and you sort of start trying to follow that version of that person.
Yeah.
So when did you realize? Because I think we all get to a point, don't we?
Yeah.
So what was it that made you realize you had to be yourself? You weren't going to necessarily be that person right now to make
Mm.
that six-figure $1 million figure, whatever it is, and they make loads of money and say they can. When was it you started actually to believe in yourself and think, I got to follow myself?
Yeah, I think when I first got some paying clients, and they paid me, that was a fantastic step forward. And then they would say, actually, this has really helped, or you'd get the message saying, actually, what you said was really helpful, or you're in a conversation like this and somebody, you can see when it clicks with somebody, or they have that aha moment. It's all of those things put together. And I think these people who say I made six figures in however many months, 6 weeks, some of these things do work and they work for them, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for everybody else. And you might not want to work in the way that they're working. I think a lot of it comes down to how you want to work. If you want to work 9 till 3, great. You do that. You don't, nobody's saying you've got to work from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got to find out what works with you and what fits in with you, your personality, your lifestyle, and what you want to do.
Okay, so let me ask you, so how do you now think you see yourself? Because we mentioned at the beginning, this imperfect mum of 3. What makes you an imperfect mum of 3?
Well, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. And I think part of that is, owning that and saying sorry when we've mucked up, because we all will, whether that's with our friends, our kids, our parents, our colleagues, whoever it is. You were going to say something?
So I was going to say, so do you think that can come across into business as well? We think we have to be perfect.
Yeah, we do. We don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think, let's take social media. That is part of all of our lives. And actually, people like to see people who are real. They don't want everything completely polished. It looks false, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because we know that not everybody is that beautiful or has that beautiful home or never, spills their cup of tea, whatever it is,
I was just saying in the beginning, before we recorded, you and I were discussing and comparing our heights, weren't we?
Yeah.
We found out they're both quite short people. And it's like, oh, I had no idea. You come across so tall. I don't know why, but you do to me online, because I've only met you online. So it's like,
it's really funny.
We are not perfect at all in any way, shape, or form.
And why pretend to be? That puts so much pressure on you.
And I think it's the same in business as well. I think, yourself, I think you do a lot. You have a lot going on. And I was on your session the other week that you did, which I thought was brilliant, by the way. You're really, and the more because how long have we known each other now? Is it about a year from our networking?
Just over a year, I think.
And I think the way that you've certainly sort of grown throughout the whole of this is really good.
Thank you.
Really
And
good.
you talk about last week and that wasn't perfect because I stopped the thing that, oh, forgot to say X.
Yeah, I know, but hey, we'll finish this. I think, oh God, I meant to mention that, and I didn't. But I just want to get across to people that I think we all struggle in some way, shape, or form. We might come across as look at. I've had a few paying clients now. I'm really pleased with where I've got myself, but it's taken a lot of oh God, nervous energy and stress and
Yeah.
second guessing, and I'm really not good at this, and it's just like, oh crikey, what am I doing here?
And a lot of when you're running your own business, you are all the departments. Very often, you're the marketing, you're the finance, you're actually doing the work. And we're not all great at all of those things. So, we're good at the thing that we really want to do. So in your case, it's the bookkeeping. That's where your skills are. But, that doesn't necessarily mean you're good at everything else. So be gentle with yourself.
What would be your sort of big takeaway from your own experience and how from where you started to where you now are? I mean, and it's not over yet either because it's still
Yeah.
growing. What would you give to what would you say to somebody out there who's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm struggling right now. And it's like, I'm not cut out for this. This is not me. The old imposter syndrome often rears its ugly head, doesn't it? So I'm just not good enough.
Yeah.
All these people are being amazingly successful. And oh my God, I'm useless. I'm hopeless. What would you say to those people?
I think, in all honesty, every business owner has days like that when they get up and they think, oh, I can't do this, whatever it is, for whatever reason. I have been in some circles with some quite well-known people who have admitted that actually they have like stage fright. They're going to do some sort of live or presentation and they think, oh, I can't do it. I'm going to be no good. So it happens to all of us. We all have this imposter syndrome. This little voice that pops up and says, here I am, you can't do this today. So I think knowing that everybody, even really, really successful people, struggle with this from time to time is really helpful. The other thing I think to remember is there's no perfect right or wrong way. Somebody will say, you've got to do it like this. Somebody else will say, you've got to do it like this. You've got to find the way that's right for you. And, I mentioned that earlier in the terms of when you want to work, what you want to do, what you're prepared to do, all of that comes into it. So I think it's a bit about being true to yourself. And, that can be quite hard to have that conversation with yourself because we're bombarded with all this other stuff. But I think there is an element of trying to work out what is really true for you and what will work for you. Because we're all different. We all work in slightly different ways and we all have different values. So what's important to me, maybe not so important to somebody else.
But I think you also mentioned, which I have found I don't use it as much as I should, is finding your people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
A group that we have. And it's like, I don't get as involved as much as I would like to because I'm quite busy, but I'm very grateful that they're behind me in the background. There's always somebody if I could just reach out to.
So it's the people who will cheer you on and say, give it a go. It's the people that you can turn to and say, oh, it's all gone to pieces. I can't do this. Who can help you just, perhaps it's sometimes just reframing what's gone wrong. Sometimes it's just, okay, it's one of those days. Sit with it, let the feelings go, and then move forward. But people who will be beside you when you do that. And they understand when you say, I'm having one of those days. They know exactly what you mean because they're in the same position.
I think sometimes it's good if you wake up and you think, do you know what, today? I'm not going to rush out of bed.
Yeah.
Walk the dog or do whatever. Then eventually later on today, I might sit down and do something because I think we also, we try to be doing everything amazing all at once. And we want to be brilliant and we want to cover everything we've got on our calendar for that day because we want to look that professional and that, showing up. But I think sometimes we don't show up for ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we spend.
I talk a lot. I talk a lot about self-care and a lot about looking after yourself. Because if you're not doing that, you're no good to your clients, whoever your clients might be. You're not very good for your family or walking the dog or whatever it is. So we do need to look after ourselves. It is that old adage of put your own oxygen mask on before anyone else's, because otherwise, what use are we? And the thing I always say to people is, you say, I don't have time to look after myself. I don't even have time to go and do a 5-minute walk around the block. And I say, will you come back better? Will you come back a better mum, a better colleague, a better friend, a better partner, a better business owner? And if the answer is yes, that's your answer.
I mean, and to anyone who is listening, I have had a session with Beckie, and it was brilliant. And it stops and makes you think sometimes, because we don't listen to ourselves. And you have a panic. I think in the very beginning I panicked. I was never going to make enough money to survive on doing my own business. I think, and I actually started mine once a few years ago, just before lockdown actually, and I thought I'll do it. I ended up back in employed work because I didn't believe I could do it. So I suppose you have to be ready in a way, but I don't think we give ourselves enough credit sometimes of what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that anyone who's listening to this and feels they're in that place of like, oh my God, get me out of here. I want them, what would you say to them, if they're thinking that their opinions are wrong, or they can't do this, or, they're drowning, what do you think they need to hear from this?
Okay, if it's their opinions on themselves, step back and really think, whose opinion is that? Is that something somebody else has said to you? Something that you've picked up from somewhere along the way? Or is that really what you think of yourself? Because that's the opinion that really matters, the one that you have of yourself. Not all businesses survive. We've got to be kind of realistic, but then you need to give it your best shot. And, if you find yourself, okay, many of us balance a business alongside a part-time job. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that works for you, that works for you. If it's just a side hustle to start with, that's fine too. Don't be discouraged because it is not the way everybody else seems to be doing it. All the business owners we see online, they're showing a side that they want you to see that you're not seeing. Like with anything, you're not seeing the behind the scenes. We don't see in people's houses. We just see the outside, don't we? It's what people want to do.
They look really nice. If you're trying to buy a house and you look inside, and think, oh, that's really nice, but is it really like that?
It's those kind of things. And deep down what works for you and what's not going to work for you. So listen to your intuition. We all have intuition, and we can ignore it or just squeeze it, or listen to somebody else. But
go away, intuition. I don't want to hear it now. I want that person over there online who said that they did this and it worked for them.
Worked. Yeah.
Or did it though? We don't know if it didn't.
Yes, and I think that's the other thing. I call it, and lots of people call it, the shiny object syndrome. Oh, if I just do this, it's going to work. And it might, but it might not. Or an element of it might help. And it's just kind of, I suppose it's being a little bit realistic. You've got to have your passion. You've got to have your drive, because it is hard work. But, you've got to kind of put it all together. Is that making any sense at all?
Well, it makes sense to me because I've been there and I understand. And I just want, sort of, I want other people who maybe listen, who hopefully will listen to this and actually realise I'm not alone in the thought process.
Not
because
at
you
all.
do feel in the very beginning, you're setting something up, you feel like, oh my God, I just don't know where to turn, who to go to. And I don't know what to do. And you are like a rabbit in headlights. I think it's words we've used in this in the past as well. Just like, oh my God, I don't know. Who can help me? Can I just... And we all feel like that. And these people where this is what worked for me and this was amazing and you need to follow this 10-step plan. I mean, maybe it did work for them. Maybe it didn't. As I just said, we never actually know. So the only person I think you can really trust in these situations, I think, is yourself.
Yeah.
And your friends who say, actually, Liz, you got this, you've got this, you've got... I love that as well. That sort of, you've got this. It's not saying you can do it or you can't. It's just, you've got this.
Yeah, and there are always options.
Yeah.
There are always options. Nothing is ever, well, mostly not the end of the world completely. And you know,
Also,
if you build,
you know, in the very beginning, I think you have to have a backup plan. If it's
yes,
like, if it's your only income, I think you do
yeah,
need to maybe work alongside something else until it's set up. You
yeah,
know, if you're in a fortunate situation where, you know, you have someone else in your life, you know, who can help you, then
yeah,
you've got the freedom to go with it.
yeah.
That's nice too. But not everybody has that
No,
either.
and
It's
it's,
just them. It's just them.
yeah,
So
and alongside that is deciding whether it is, you know, a side hustle or whether this is your main income, because that can make you, well, that leads to different ways of working, and that's fine. You just need to know which one you're doing and which one works for you. And again, it is the support network around you. We've touched on this a number of times, because actually we're human beings. We like social contact. We're not very good on our own all the time, often. So, you know, that sounding board is really important, or can be really important.
also, if you're not in an office space and you are working from home and you are alone,
Yeah,
you do absolutely. I mean, I sometimes check into the networking group and I won't say or do anything. I might have everything, but I'm working, but it's there and people
yeah,
are talking, and every now and then I'll chip in, and I love that because it's like being in an office space
yeah,
where you chip in and out of
yeah.
conversations and things.
Yeah.
So
And
no,
co-working's another great one for that.
yes,
You
it
know, when you're
is.
sitting on your office on your all on your Todd, if you have a Zoom open or a, you know, a Teams meeting, and you're actually, what, you're not chatting, but you're working together, maybe you do check in or say, I'm going for coffee, as you would in an office. And just
That's
so
right.
you don't feel so alone.
Sometimes I bring my lunch as well. It's
Yeah.
been known. I mean, I would say to anybody listening, if they want more information on that side of things, please reach out to myself or Beckie. We can, you know, point you in some directions there, because there's a lot of good things out there. But, you know, it's each their own to try, you know,
Yeah.
whatever works for them. Oh, Beckie, this has been great. I was actually quite nervous, I'm not going to lie, about doing my first ever. And I really appreciate, you
Oh,
know,
you've done a great job.
that. But hopefully somebody listening to this will think, oh my God, they're just
Yeah.
normal people after all. And they're quite short, apparently. So that's
Yeah,
good to
they
know
are.
as
And they
well.
didn't plan what they were wearing, but look
No,
how
I was
coordinated
colour
you are.
coordinator. So, hey, that's a bonus. But no, so hopefully anyone out there watching this in a situation like this, there are places to go to and people willing to help, give advice, and it won't even cost you anything. Like, you know,
No,
it's join a
no.
place
And
somewhere.
if you're thinking about it and you've got that little niggle, go for it.
Absolutely.
Honestly, go for it.
Yeah, no, that is brilliant. And that's been such great advice. And thank you, Beckie. That's been fantastic. And yes, it's what's it, the Cloudless Sky Coaching. Go and check out her website. It's brilliant. And as I said, I've had a session, well recommend it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Liz. It's been really fun.
Yeah, and good luck to anybody out there. You know, go on, have a go. It can be brilliant. It can be all emotions, I think. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you can feel quite proud of yourself when one little tiny thing works, and it only has to be a smallest of things. And you think, oh my God, I did that. I did that. And I think that to me is such a brilliant thing. So see you all next time. It's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.